The thing is, bullying is, I think, bad. Whether it's at any kind, whether it's emotional, physical, any kind is not nice, and how do we deal with it is very very important.
That you can't label a 7-year-old a bully for life, right? It's like, how dare that child is the first instinct, right?
And sometimes people don't respond also. It's very important for you that if your child comes and tells you that they're feeling uncomfortable, that you listen.
How do you handle bullying which happens in between children on the ground? Does it happen these days? How does it happen and how is it handled? One, with the child, two, with the parent of the child if necessary, and in a non-judgmental way.
On a play field, it can be insidious, it can be invisible, it can be and it's very easy for parents to jump in and say your child bullied my child, without or they call us and say, do you know there's bullying going on your field? But the attempt has to always be to
Can I
create.
interrupt and say, what kind of bullying are you seeing?
People can use
Bad
words.
Okay.
People can use hands. It can be subtle bullying. It can be like, ganging up, 3-4 ganging up together and, excluding another one. So it can be all kinds, of not passing the ball to the player. There can be small things of, which is quite sad, and the sad part is also is earlier we noticed it when they were 9 or 10. Now we are noticing it when they're younger. It starts right from when they're 6 or 7, and I think the exposure is way higher, right, for every child now. What they're exposed to, as much as it gives them a lot of other benefits, as this is the downside of it. And the thing is, bullying is, I think, bad. Whether it's at any kind, whether it's emotional, physical, any kind is not nice, and how do we deal with it is very very important, and there should be no blame game. It's because a child only at 5 or 6 doesn't know too much, but at the same time, how do you tell the child what the child is doing is wrong and how it should not be repeated? And lots of times Priya will have interesting stories of even the parents, of how to deal with the parents sometimes is harder than the child, I'll be honest.
Yeah. So again, but as a national sport, when you see cricket, sledging happens. There's something, I have a conversation
Yes.
with my son all the time. And apparently sledging is okay on the on the field. And I'm like, how is it? It's some kind of bullying, right? So when that is accepted on the field, and when that's what all the boys and girls are watching growing up, somewhat automatically comes to them,
but
and they
I
don't
think-
realize.
But now, I mean, even though they do it, but I think there are fines placed on players. They have to pay fines. I mean, of course, the fine is not sufficient. I mean, in the sense for the amount they earn. So fines are placed and imposed to show that it's not right. Any sport, even football, if you look at football fans in the world, they are you have incidents in stadiums where, there are fights breaking out and people are being rude to each other, all of that happens. But it's important for a child to know that it is not okay. We don't live in the perfect world. There are many things happening in the world which we are not comfortable with. And I think we're very, very easy talking to our children about those things, right? The political issues which are happening in the world, and some of the things very, very easy to talk to our child. The same way, I think, we find it very easy to talk about politics. We find it easy to talk about all those kinds of things. But when it comes to what happens in your child's life, in school or on the field, it's important for the parents to actually sit them down at this time and say, no, this is not okay. Just like some big countries are bullying some small countries, it's not okay for anybody to say or do something.
Number one, we have to make sure that the children know it's a safe space and be very clear about our expectations and the boundaries, right? And this we have to repeat, and the only way we do this is education, and in a not judging way, that you can't label a 7-year-old a bully for life, right? The second aspect is the coaches, and we do a lot of work with our coaches and our staff, educating them on your first response to, if you see something happening, you have to get involved, but how do you get involved? I hope that podcasts like these or the YouTube series we did actually helps educate and also nuance their responses. It's not, see, as a parent, we're all that tiger parent, right? We're all that mother bear, all those stereotypes you see on the in the new wave ads on parenting. But we have to realize every incident, event has multiple angles to it, multiple viewpoints, and multiple stories connected to it, right? And we tend to only listen to our child's view, saying, he hit me, or he pushed me, or he kicked me, he left me out. There's a whole thing
Story
around
behind
it.
it,
And
yeah,
you're a
yeah,
storyteller,
yeah,
Kavita. You know that there's a whole real story behind it. And I think as people who run Great Goals, it is our job to find that story out. Right? What actually happened? What's going on? In so many instances, we've seen that it carries forward from school.
So a lot of these things actually stem from, sometimes they're in the same school, it's happening something which happened in school. So sometimes it might have been that A might have bullied B in school. So now B wants to get back at A and does that in the field.
On the field. It could have been on the school bus. It can happen online. It can happen on WhatsApp. It can happen anywhere.
But even if it's just that 1 hour and if it's an incident,
We have
we
to
have
act.
to go through the full story. We have to go through the full sequence. And it's very, very important to hear their individual stories separately. Because, you then when they speak about it separately, you can kind of connect all the dots. And then you kind of try to understand what really happened.
And it's also important for parents, I feel, to understand how to react to the whole situation, because
We react, we don't respond.
Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
It's a very, it's like, how dare that child is the first instinct, right?
And sometimes people don't respond also. It's very important for you that if your child comes and tells you that they're feeling uncomfortable, that you listen and you kind of act on it. Don't react, but respond. I think that's very, very important to do that.
that's true.
And also bring it up in a, we've got the whole spectrum, right? We've been doing this we're in our 13th year, and we've had parents who will call us and say, how dare you let this happen? What were your staff doing? There's that direct aggressor. There is the passive aggressive saying, I don't know how it happened on your watch. Then the third way is, this is happening, could you look into it? And the fourth is like, can I help you solve this? Can I help you do something about this? And of course, this is just 4 ways, but there are so many more and everything in between. But I think the thing is that we have to educate the kids. We have to be very consistent in how we draw those boundaries, be clear about our expectations, and keep consistently reinforcing that. The second is how we educate, empower our coaches and our staff, whoever's on field, to do this. And third is, of course, Sandhya and I, we have a safety policy at Great Goals, right? I mean, we've had it for years. And last year, the All India Football Federation had asked every academy to do it. But we've had one for years that's been child first, like you said, right in the beginning. And we try our best to make sure through such means to make sure that parents know it exists, and that, finally it is, why are we doing this? We want children to be happy, discover themselves, and fulfill a part of themselves, nurture their growth, etc., etc. It's all about all of that, and this is such a key piece to it.